of card, all identical. We've got a little white canopy here. Now, which colour do you predict is going to be the coolest one? And which one's going to be the hottest one? Oh, you knocked me canopy over again. You canopy killer, you. So, got our little temperature gun here. So we're now going to read the temperatures without shading it. Where are we? So we've got roughly about 31 for the black, unshaded. We've got, I don't know if this is going to do properly because it did get slightly unshaded. Oh no, there we go. Look. So 23 on the shaded part of the black one. 25 on the white. Got the angle wrong on that one. Interestingly, we've got just under 25 on this one. But it could be the angle of that. But I couldn't get the zip perfectly flat because of the grass. And we've got 27 on the grey. And then 31 on the concrete look. So, let's have a look at the grass, shall we? The grass is sitting about 26. So, what colour are car parks, Emily?
Grey.
Or black, yeah?
Yeah.
So, a car park's going to be hotter?
Yeah.
Yeah? And as we proved with our little experiment, if you shaded the car park with a white canopy, would that make it cooler?
Yeah.
So welcome to today's video. In today's one I wanted to talk about how we have the ability, mankind has the ability to engineer a cooler planet without wrecking economies. If they started fighting climate change from both ends, they would achieve their goals much faster. And I would like to see the UK government take the lead on this, really. Because it's pretty common knowledge that pretty obvious, whichever country takes the lead first in terms of tackling this is going to be the one who comes out on top. But it requires that boldness to actually go ahead and do it. So, as I say, you don't need to wreck your economy in the process. They can both go hand in hand, because the way to tackle the climate crisis and etc. is, like I said, to fight it from both ends. So obviously you have the CO2 and the other gases that are trapping or are preventing heat from escaping, but what you can do is reduce the amount of heat that's actually being absorbed in the first place by the planet's surface. Unfortunately, you've got the man-made heat, which, if you want to keep your economies going, you can't do too much about that. However, you can change the heat that's being absorbed by the sun at the surface level, and you can do that quite simply with simple science. And if mankind actually put their heads together and actually got on with it, the less of a problem it would be to actually start addressing it. So it's lots of simple things, like at the minute we like to go around building retail parks and shopping centres and factories, warehouses, and and we slap a nice big car park on them. I don't really think much of it. Depending on which architect's doing the building, they might try and make the building look a bit fancy, depending on whether making it grey or blues. I've seen blues and greens. Sometimes it's an attempt to try and blend the building in. Other times it's not. But that's where we go wrong. Because the simple fact of it is, and anyone knows who's ever worn different coloured t-shirts or touched a car when it's hot. We all know that different colours absorb different amounts of sunlight and heat. Obviously white reflects the most sunlight, so anything white is going to heat up less, and this is where we should be heading. I'm not saying that you have to turn everything white, but you should certainly abolish dark colours from being used in the building of things, and also where we've already got dark colours, we should look at ways to either shade them so the sunlight's not hitting them, or look at ways that we can change their colour so that less sunlight is being absorbed, hence less heat is being absorbed. Because it's a double-edged sword. Not only do you absorb the heat during the day and it makes the daytime hotter, obviously then when it comes to the evening, all of these surfaces, especially the tarmac and the metal cars and other things like that, they're then emitting that heat. That heat is then being let back out again. So, and there's lots of things that could be done which would actually solve more than one thing at the same time. As I've said many times, one thing can solve another thing. Prime example, stop building houses on fresh green land. Especially semi-detached and detached houses. We've got plenty of houses at that end of the scale. What we need is houses at the other end of the scale. Houses for the young people, houses for the first time buyers, houses for the people that don't have money to take out a massive mortgage. And those houses should be built to be as efficient and as cost effective as possible. And the way to do that is terrace houses. So, and you should also build them on reclaimed land where possible. So, because I travel a lot for work, and everywhere I go, I see an abandoned building, a vacant lot. It's like, if you just purchase those, and sometimes you can repurpose the original building, sometimes you can't. But it's like if you just build terrace houses, and you aim them to be pretty similar to what we were building before. We live in a 1930s house. It's an ex-council house, and we've basically, although we have a downstairs bathroom, whereas the other ones in the road don't. They've had their bathrooms moved upstairs. But we would effectively have a living room, a kitchen diner, understairs storage area, and then bedrooms upstairs. So we've got 3 bedrooms upstairs. The other house is 2, but they have a slightly smaller master bedroom because they have the bathroom upstairs. And it's perfectly adequate. The house itself, it's an adequate house. Now, when you think most people would have just 2 kids, or just be living as a couple, or even just 1 kid. So, when you build terraced houses, you're going to have less surfaces for, firstly, the sun to actually hit. So in the summer, it's going to stay cooler. But then also in the winter, they're going to cost less to heat because you're going to have less external walls. So they're going to cost less to heat. And if you also combine that with sticking solar panels on the roofs of these houses, well, then it's a win-win. But yeah, going back to the original subject, so yeah, where you've got car parks, the best thing, you could easily build, like we showed in the video, build canopies to stop the sunlight from hitting the tarmac in the first place, and also the cars that are going to be parked there. And by doing that, you're going to stop them getting so hot. Now, when it comes to roads, what the government should do is aim to shelter them where possible with trees. In my opinion, we've got so many roads, and you travel along some bits of road, nice tree cover, perfect. Then you come to other ones, no tree cover whatsoever. What we should do is aim to tree cover as many of the roads as possible, in my opinion. But I also think there's opportunities, especially along the motorways, for example, to potentially put wind turbines in there. Put more renewables in. I don't see why you couldn't even make these so that the government owns them, so then the government earns money from that renewable energy. If they actually took the lead and actually did it. So there's another thing. But in my opinion, all the solar panels, they should be on the roofs of buildings, not in fields. We should be aiming to keep as much untouched land as possible there, because that's the best way to reduce the effects. But by changing the colour of a lot of things and changing the reflectiveness of the sun so that less is absorbed, you could start to actually reduce the temperatures back down again. Because I can't remember which game it was. It may have been Civilization. One of the scenarios, which was called Snowball Earth. It's basically a planet which is so covered in snow and ice that it just reflects all the sunlight back. I can't remember where I came across it, but at some point, I came across that about Snowball Earth, where it's a planet which is so covered in ice and snow, it reflects so much heat away that it just doesn't warm up, basically. But we could easily balance the temperature of the planet, and potentially we could even get more ambitious, and potentially look at ways we could actually change other areas like the Arctic or the Antarctic, or places where there were previously glaciers. Find ways to reduce the melt, or even freeze it back up again. But who knows? But again, another thing that I think needs to be sort of looked at as well is, and it's probably going to be one that would annoy a lot of people, especially the people who want little regulation and the ability to do whatever they want and choose whatever they want. But cars are another one where the colour of cars varies greatly in terms of how much sunlight they absorb, and hence how much heat, how hot they get, and how much heat they put back out again. And when you think just how many things on a car gets hot, I do think there should be more of a push to make it so that cars have to be lighter in colour. If the cars were lighter in colour, I'm not saying they all have to be white, but certainly if you did away with if you legislated or pushed business to get rid of the dark colours, then again that's even more of a saving that you're getting on that heat absorption. You can see these videos where I'm going under the bridges. If you painted those bridges white, they're going to absorb less sunlight. But yeah, I just think that there's a lot more that could be done, in order to actually achieve the goals they want to achieve. But again, it's going to take a bold government. I do also think, to be honest, there needs to be a new movement, because obviously we all know that Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil all got demonised by the press, and people were turned against them because of the tactics they were using, etc. I do think there needs to be a new movement, but not just so focused on climate, but also on other things like, for example, the housing crisis. You know, basically sort of taking all the, a number of the issues where we can see solutions, and actually sort of pressuring government to actually do something about them, but not necessarily. I don't think the best way is by causing a disturbance. I think, if you actually arranged local events, or even bigger events where you had it in, you held it like in a field, for example, you held it somewhere, obviously making sure that not acting like some of these concerts where they leave behind shed loads of litter, but if you actually had let's say an eco event or eco events, and actually push the ideas, bring the ideas to the forefront, get the media coverage, get the ideas to the forefront of how we could change for the better. And I think if Labour actually endorsed it and took the ideas on board and actually got ambitious, not only could they boost the economy, but at the end of the next 5 years, if they really got on with it, at the end of the next 5 years, I think you really, they would be in a position where they would get re-elected again, but on a much better, it will be on a much better footing when they get elected. So then again, they can be more ambitious again the next time round. But yeah, I mean, it's going to take, this is the problem. You need governments that are actually going to just take the bull by the horns and just get on and be ambitious and do these things. What they should really do is create, let's say, initiatives where by offering funding to businesses, startup businesses who are focused on these things, to actually get the ball rolling, to actually get fresh ideas, because it's not the big businesses who are going to have the ideas. It's going to be the little people. It's going to be the people who have the ideas but can't actually put them into action. They don't have the funds, or they're just, they've got to concentrate on their main job because they can't not go without that wage. So yeah, but anyway, thanks for listening.